So, hi everybody. I'm very happy to be here for the second time, for the second year. And welcome to this panel session that we organized together, Ferrara, Festival Pindolas, and with the help of Agnese Fiocchi. And first of all, I would like to ask to the panelists if for you is not a problem if we record the session. I hope everybody is okay. If not, please write it in the chat. And I mean, I don't want to waste a lot of time. I think the idea is go straight to the point. So as I said, this is the second panel discussion we are organizing. Last year, we had this really interesting and insightful discussion together with programmers and also with producers and artists about how working with short theater can help to improve and to reach new younger audiences. The results we had last year, they are mainly saying yes, microtheater is a very good idea, a very good instrument to collect this kind of audience. And if you want to check the previous panel discussion, you can find it on the YouTube page of Festival Pindolas Festival. And in case if you want to, we can send you also we did a summary and we can send it to you by email if you just ask him for it, and we will send it. This panel discussion today is dedicated mainly to programmers. That's why we are here, because the idea is to try to discover a little bit more about microtheater around the world, how it works in different countries, and what these experiences can bring to this kind of short pieces. And I saw Giulia very big in a moment. What? and the idea is, as I said, to speak about this topic together and try to connect our projects, or with the idea of trying to find connection among our projects, and hopefully in future try to think about some, if you want to, some European or international project together. This is very long time idea, but for the moment, let's start with this meeting today. So how it will work today, the panel session. It will last approximately 2 hours and it will be divided in 3 parts. The first one will be the presentation of the panelists. The second part is an open discussion with starting from three main questions, and then the last part is an open debate where we can collect if we have some question from the different from the person who are checking the panel session from Facebook channel or from the other sorry, I'm seeing a lot of things happening and it's really very hard to concentrate. Sorry. So as I said, the third part will be open to questions from the rest of the audience, I would say. So rules of the panel session. When somebody is speaking, please, the rest of people, they should have their microphone off, so there is no sound. And the other thing is, the main idea of this is try to respect all the opinions and trust the way we are trying, Agnese and you, we are trying to put a little bit of order in all of this. Let's go through to presentation. I will start from the team. First of all, Stefania Andreotti. Thank you very much, Stefania, because she's the one who is directing all this panel session from the internet. She's from Ferrara and Festival Bonsai. Festival Bonsai is an unconventional theater festival, which this year is at its 7th edition, gets to its 7th edition. But Giulio Costa later on will explain more about it. Thank you very much also to Agnese Fiocchi. She's a former contemporary dancer. She's currently based in Groningen, in the Netherlands, and she currently works as an independent producer for dance and music makers and tries to bridge the gap between the theater works and the pop-up world. She's been collaborating with Ferrarov for a couple of years and as an artistic consultant. Then, thank you, Agnese. Then me, I'm Giulia Poltronieri. Here representing Festival Píndolas and other projects I'm working for. Festival Píndolas is a short theater festival which is taking place this weekend. So Anna and, well, more than I, but Anna and me, we are right in a really nervous period right now. And Anna later on, she will explain much more about this, our festival, which gets this year to the 9th edition. And apart from the festival, the other thing we are doing from Píndolas is like a bigger project who has the aim of distributing short theater pieces in different spaces, starting from theaters to small theaters in villages which usually doesn't get a lot of theater, and also in schools. We directly take this kind of short dance and mainly dance and theater shows inside schools for youngsters mainly from 14 to 19 years old. This is our presentation, and I will say much more later. And now I will really ask you if you can introduce one by one all panelists. I sent you some questions, 3 questions or 3 topics to try to guide a little bit this introduction. I will ask you to do it in 5 minutes, please. I will try to check the time. And the question I sent you, just to remember them, are: please explain the connection between short theater and your organization. The second one is, please introduce the situation of short theater in your country, reality, or network. And the third one is, in your opinion, what are the strengths and weaknesses of short theater and how we can improve the first, it means the strengths, and solve the second, and we mean the weaknesses. So if you don't mind, I will tell you who will speak, because we had an order, but we had to change it a little bit because Morgan will come a little bit later. So Miguel, can you please introduce yourself and explain a little bit about Microteatro por Dinero? Miguel, el audio.
Okay, now better, no? Okay, so I'm Miguel Acantud, I said, with no audio. I am from Microteatro por Dinero in Spain. In fact, we are the inventors of the word microtheater. We started like 14 years ago doing this small theater in small places, doing this kind of distribution like in cinemas, in which one play is played more than once a day. And we have a big network now we have, I think, 15 microtheaters around the world. We have Argentina, Peru, Colombia, Mexico, USA, I don't know. And we are working with microtheater in projects in Egypt, in the USA, in New York, in Brazil. And we are using microtheater not only as a culture thing, but also this formative or educational thing in which we are, for example, taking programs for against racism in the north of New York. And I don't know what the third question was, but more or less that's me.
The third question was about, in your opinion, what are the strengths and weaknesses of short theater and how we can improve them?
The main strength, obviously, is the length. I mean, now in this Instagram, TikTok era that we have now, it's like the theater of the 21st century, in which people doesn't have to take the or have the concentration for more than 15 minutes. And I think that's one of the strengths, because it fits into what's happening in the rest of the things. Weakenings, I don't see any real weakening apart of the pandemic, because we are the worst possible format for pandemias. But now that this is over, I think everything is okay.
That's great. Thank you very much, Miguel.
Thank you.
Thea, do you mind to present yourself, please?
Giulia, you said Thea? Yes? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Thea. Unfortunately, I wasn't present on the first discussion, so I haven't watched it. I haven't heard it. I'll try to be short, as the short theater forms. We made a festival 2 years ago called Sturm und Drang with short theater forms. The program was in many sections, such as short theater, 1 minute acting, poetry, music, design, photography. I would like to mention the 1 minute acting as a form, because it was great challenge for the actors in 1 minute to show and tell what these words mean for them, Sturm und Drang. It was short, precisely, and very creative for the actors, and it is difficult in such a short time to tell everything. That why it was very challenging for them. The reality in my country about the short theater forms is that it doesn't exist. Lately, I've been watching performances that last 3 or 4 hours. I have a feeling that nowadays in my country, the actual thing about the theater are spectacles or megalomaniac performances. You have these alternative theater groups that work on different theater forms, but this is very, very rare in my country because of the financial thing. Because my country doesn't have a good system of producing and giving money to these theater groups. And the institutions are not that open to these theater forms. For example, I also work in theater institution, but also work in the alternative theater and spaces, because this is what I want to work. The third question was about the strengths and the weaknesses, Giulia? Yes. I think that the strengths about the short theater is that you have the chance to say something important and to be very precisely in telling stories. Because most of the time we have many things to say, but it's challenging to choose what is really important to say. We all know that we live in a time where everything is very fast, and we usually say we don't have time for everything. So I think that the audience wants to hear and to see something short and very clear with a precise point of view. I think that we just need to follow the pulse of nowadays living, of everyday living. And I think that so I'm talking from my point of view. As for weaknesses, I think that the biggest weakness is the financial thing, because this festival that I was talking about, Sturm und Drang, I gathered more than 70 performance actors, directors, students, artists from many countries. It was in online form, but next year, for example, my country didn't support me to continue with this work. Because as I said, we are not that, I think that we don't have a good system in talking about these forms, making these forms. I really would like to share this experience with all of you, and maybe to continue this work internationally. So this is in short, Giulia.
Thank you very much, Thea. It was super interesting what you said, and I also write down the idea of 1 minute acting, which looks really amazing. So thank you, Giulio.
Thank you.
Costa. Please, can you please introduce yourself and bonsai and Ferraro?
My name is Giulio Costa. I am the artistic director of Bonsai Festival and also Ferraro, that is the association that organizes it. Bonsai Festival was born in 2017 thanks to the dialogue with Píndolas Teatre Breu in Espais Vius, that is a Catalan festival in Barcelona. The first editions were based on the concept of microteatro in the sense of 15 minutes performances with a maximum of 4 performers for a maximum of 30 spectators, and with 5 or 6 plays each day. As the name say, Bonsai Festival was born as a little festival. In fact, it lasted 2 days. Every edition, the first editions were always 2 days, and it was supported by the municipality of Ferrara that wanted to bring a theater in a neighborhood that was considered very difficult, very dangerous from a social point of view, because it was full of foreigners. Actually, it wasn't so dangerous, but for us it was the opportunity to bring a theater in different spaces. And also in this way, we allow the audience to cross streets of this neighborhood, discover it, discover different places, private flats, restaurants, spaces for children, spaces for old people. And at the same time, they also had the opportunity to enjoy different artistic disciplines like theater, dance, site-specific performances, video performances, storytelling, all in a day. All the performances had in common the short duration, and they were selected by a team of professionals, and chosen through an international call. And we received a lot of proposals, and I have to tell you the truth, they were not all of them with great quality. And in the end, I think that we succeeded in making a very good program in our festival, but because we have thrown many proposals that weren't so good. And probably the problem is that in Italy, short theater is mainly frequented by amateurs, and I think that this depends because there are not so many efforts in the production and in distribution of a short theater. There are not so many festivals, there are not so many seasons dedicated to it, and this kind of format is used in many competitions to support under 35 artists and companies. They have to present 15 or 20 minutes. If you win in that kind of competition, you have the opportunity to enlarge the play, so the short performance doesn't exist anymore. But if you don't win, probably you have lost your time and your money. For example, 10 years ago, I won one of these competitions, and fortunately, they gave me the opportunity to decide if I wanted to make a longer performance or to leave it as it was, that is to say, a 20 minutes performance. I decided to leave it as it was, but it was very difficult to bring it in other spaces, in other theaters. There are no theaters for this kind of theater, especially in cities that are little cities, like, for example, Ferrara in this case. Our festival right now is trying to help new generations to make the first steps of a new production, but letting them the choice of the duration, because we are aware of how difficult it is to distribute and host a short theater. For example, also Bonsai Festival, after the first years, we needed more support, economical support, and we had to change the nature of this festival to make it longer and bigger, to have also the support of our region and also of the Ministero of the Culture Ministry. And so starting from last year, and for 2 years more, Bonsai Festival has become a 60 days festival that hosts new production presented in their first steps of creation, but the brief duration is an option and not a rule. We have the same targets of the festival that are free, the same of the beginning, and that are first to improve new theatrical languages, in this sense, short theater is fantastic. Second, to get in touch with different audiences, in particular youngsters. And third, to encourage the circulation of emerging artists and companies. As I said before, short theater can help producing quickly something new. They can do something very quickly, but at the same time, in Italy, in this moment, it is very difficult to find the right context for it.
Super, Giulia. Thank you very, very much. Luke, can you please introduce yourself? Do you mind?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Luc de Groen. I'm the director of the Café Theater Festival. And so before the question for this panel came, I never heard of the term microtheater, or we don't per se use the term short theater, but I think it fits quite well. We exist now 20 years. Next year we have our 20 years anniversary. And we are an organization that places the performances max 30 minutes of new emerging artists in café, in bars, in nightclubs, in all different kinds of hospitality establishments. So the relation is, I think, that we work in this very elemental way. So in a cafe, you can't do anything with lighting, because performances play 8 times during the 4-day festival Utrecht. We also have 2-day festivals in Rotterdam and Arnhem. Performances play 8 to 10 times during these 4 days, so multiple times a day. So you play as well when it's daylight, as well when it's night. There are 34 artists that we have at our festival in total. So there's a lot going on at the same time in all the cafes and all the places. There's a lot of people, and the cafe space in itself also very elemental. You can do anything with lighting, but also the sound quality is often elemental. And I think this is also the fun of it, that you work with what it is. In a cafe, you have only you as a performer very close to the audience, because we don't build stages. So performers play on bars, on tables, on chairs, whatever is available in the cafe. And I think, if I think about what's the strength and the weakness of this theater, for me, it's all about this very raw, very basic way of making, of thinking about you as a performer in contact with an audience that sometimes is as close as that they can touch you, that you have to be very quick. You have to be quick on your feet, but you also have to you earn something. You don't get the codes that you get in a theater space where everyone sits down quietly. You begin and you have the attention. I think this is amazing. And also, I have to say that I don't think 30 minutes is that short. I also heard 1 minute. I mean, compared to that, we're not that short. But for me also, like, I don't really like performances that are longer than an hour. Perhaps that is my bad, but I just really prefer half an hour as a length. Also, I think it's a very great goalpost, so to say, a way to work towards something manageable, and that you don't overshoot with a very big performance with in which you also get the attention problem, in a sense, when you would enlarge it more than half an hour in a cafe where people cannot sit and all these kind of things. And the situation in the Netherlands, it's I think it's rough at the moment, especially with the makers that we work with. So because it's this very basic, very elementary way of theater making, we work with a lot of emerging artists, people that just began or are changing trajectories of their careers midway, or people that come from whole different contexts and are just landing in the Netherlands. And these people have it rough right now. There's a lot of struggle with getting into the theater and dance scene at the moment, and I think short theater in that sense is also a way to open up, a way to say, well, we have quite a few performances. We have 34 during the festival. Let's try something new. Let's try something we haven't seen before. I think it's important, but it's also we really notice that the circumstances are worsening at the moment in the Netherlands. I can talk more about that, but perhaps for now this might be an introduction.
That's great. Thank you very much, Luke, for this introduction to your work. Mark, again, the Netherlands. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. So I'm Mark. I'm the artistic coordinator of Bureau Mix, and we're a cultural agency, and we're based in Groningen, the Netherlands, same city as Agnese is also partly based in. And we're organizing socially artistic projects and events. And the way we work is that we start by listening to people in our surroundings, what is happening in society, what kind of problems and injustices are people encountering. And from this, we try to define some themes for our projects and events, and we invite artists to come up with a project on this theme. And the projects always happen in co-creation with communities from the surroundings. And by doing this, we try to come up with new perspectives for these big unsolvable societal issues we're encountering, like polarization, for example. And I think the short theater concept is very suitable to do this. So, for example, to give an example of one of the projects we did is called Tapas, which stands for There Are Plenty of Alternatives. Which was based on stories from people who are living in an alternative way, or who had a perspective on how to deal differently with the systems we're living in. We connected them to artists to tell their story, and we created a bike route. Of course, we're in the Netherlands, so it's a bike route. And we showed the audience 5 short fragments of 10 minutes each of these stories. Also, we organize a festival called Blik Opener, where for a longer period of time, artists work in co-creation with communities on one of these themes. And then at the festival, we show what they worked on. It's also like small fragments of 10, 15 minutes most of the times. So usually our projects lead to these short co-created fragments, which you could call short theater, I guess. But also what's really important for us is that we try to place it in the context of a long-term trajectory or a longer process that continues. And I think this also brings me to the strengths and weaknesses, because I think the strength of the format is that it creates a lot of flexibility. It creates a lot of space to reflect and respond really quickly to what's happening at the moment in society. And it also provides room for experiment, as Luc was also already a bit saying. But at the other hand, if impact is really central, as it is for our organization, short theater in itself is maybe a bit too short to really create impact. So I think we should always look how we can create and provide space for short theater within the context of a longer process. And to come back at the question about the reality or context of short theater here in the Netherlands or Groningen, I never heard of the concept until a year ago, I think, when Agnese told me about it. And I don't think the concept is very well known yet here. I only know a handful of examples who are working with the concept. But I think there could be a lot more space for the concept, and it could create a bit more spontaneity and a bit more experiment in the Netherlands, because everything is really structured. And as Luc was already saying, it's really hard to get into these structures for young makers, young artists. So I think short theater could really provide a space for that. And I think us as organizations, we should ask for that space and create that space as well.
That's great, Mark. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anna, can you please introduce Píndolas Festival? El micro.
Oh, yes. Well, hi, I'm Anna from the Píndolas Festival. Well, first of all, I have to apologize because I haven't got a lot of time to prepare this, because as Giulia said, we are now preparing all the festival that took place this weekend. And well, the relation between the short theater and Píndolas is that it's a festival of short pieces of scenic arts of different artistic disciplines, text theater, object theater, dance, a lot of different artistic disciplines. And then what we do is that we locate these plays in non-conventional spaces, outdoors, indoors, and the way we work is through an open call, which is anonymous, so everyone who has a project or a text can send it. We read all the projects, and then we select the pieces that will premiere in the festival with the help of a professional commission that we have. And well, maybe the particularity of this festival is that now, since 2021, we co-produce all these plays that we select by giving them an economic help, and also some locals to rehearsal, and then the companies also, they have the option to receive an external point of view for a professional of the sector. And as Giulia said before, Píndolas now is making an effort of distribution. It's an everyday project, because then we go on tour with all these plays that we select on the festival, all over the Catalan and Balear territory. Also in Catalonia, there's other festivals of short theater, not many, but it is not usual to find festivals or theaters that give support to the creation to the companies. Maybe it's more like in a exhibition way, and that's all. And finally, I would say that the weaknesses of the short theater is that maybe for some people can be conceived as something amateur sometimes, and maybe for some art programmers, I think it's difficult to see that the format is very, it requires low capacity of audience because of the proximity between the actors and the audience. So maybe I think that for some programmers, this is difficult for them to program in their theaters, because maybe they have to fill all the seats in their theaters, big theaters. And on the other hand, I think that the strength of the short theater is the access to young people. In Pindulas, we also have this young line that we go to high school, and it really works because the format fits a lot for them. It's very important, and well, they are watching short stories, 15-minute stories. They are used to TikTok, as you said before, and it's like they are watching a live TikTok, so it's perfect for them. And also the accessibility to different types of cultural equipments, because that's, let's see, the short theater doesn't require any technical issues, big technical. And to finish, I would say that more in an artistic way, I think that if you have, as a performer, a big project in mind, it's a good way, the short theater, it's a good way to check if it works, or I don't know, to try, no? Well, I don't know. I think that's all.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you all. I mean, I'm really astonished. We did it 5 minutes each. Really unbelievable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I just, if you don't mind, I just wanted to point it out something that I noticed down while speaking, and something that it comes to my mind. And starting from here, we can open the debate, so all of you can participate at any time, and just let it flow. Okay. So on one side, I pointed out that short theater, or micro theater, it's something that in many countries not known, as the most of you said. This is something that I think is really Spanish, or from the Spanish way of seeing theater. So I mean, I've always heard it starting from South America and then here. So this is like this format, which Miguel said, which is a format which is very clear. It's 15 minutes. It's for 15 people. I mean, it's something very very marked. But anyway, I'm thinking also to other, disciplines. So for dances and circus, the short pieces is nothing strange. I mean, circus is very used with solo. So when you do a solo, when you do a número in Spanish, this can last also 6 minutes, and it's okay. I mean, it's the show, and this is what you bring around. With magical shows is the same. I mean, you have part shorts, and dance also. I mean, I think that what is really new from microtheater is that the idea of sorry, I was reading down. The idea of microtheater as a text theater show. So with the idea that it's a show that it starts and ends in 15 minutes, which is mainly not a part of something. So this is one thing I wanted to write down. Another interesting thing is the connection among what Mark said and Festival Bonsai and what Giulio said, which is the social connection, I would call it. I mean, the connection with the society from the project. I think it can help from time to time to get a little bit more of financial resources. This is what happens with the first years of Bonsai, which was financed mainly because of, as Giulio said, because of the place of this quarter, which was not with a very good name, I would say, or with very good reputation. And I think this is something that from time to time can help. Another important thing, I think, is the relationship or the idea of short theater as something amateur, basically, or which I don't know, which I can find with many times I find around, which is short theater is connected with training, with the training of artists, of new directors, of new authors. Then the importance of microtheater among the strengths we spoke about the length, the idea of supporting emerging artists and improve new languages, the basic way of making contact or getting contact with audiences, the flexibility of this form to respond to what happens in the world. And I really like the idea of TEA, which is that short pieces, they help to be precise and just speak about one topic, which is a really important thing, speaking about theater, in my opinion. And that you just work with what you have there, which is what Luke said. I mean, this kind of short shows, they have to adapt to the place where they are. What makes me a little bit, I don't know, I mean, what it's a little bit strange for me is that we just found a few weaknesses, which is, well, the thing, as Miguel said, that in pandemic was a form that really doesn't work well. It was exactly the opposite of what they were looking for. And the idea, which is not well known, so it's not that extended. Just wanted to say these little things to try to give you some spot and some ideas. And then I don't know if somebody wants to add something, or something that's heard and really sounds to her or to him to add. Look, please.
Yeah, I wanted to add that what you said about the disciplines, I think is very interesting, because in the Café Theater Festival, like originally we had like only or mostly text-based theater performances, which were very funny, so to say. So very light theater performances of 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And there's quite a scene of festivals, some amateur, some on the verge between amateur and professional, and some real professional, where there are these funny short theater performances, which is really, I think, so for us, kind of as a festival, the dance part is more of a new thing than the theater, to be honest.
That's very interesting, because it's 30 minutes, as you said, what you present there, but it's the same idea that comes from here. I mean, so it's super interesting, I think. And taking these ideas also from other disciplines can help also, I think, to think how we can do more things from here. I mean, just can take example from other disciplines, which is not only the text theater. Super. Somebody else wants to add something? If not, I have questions down here. If you don't mind, I go with the first. How do you think that, what do you think about this? No, how can short theater practices survive through time within sustainable financial and structural resources? Because we said that it's a struggle for emerging artists, it's a struggle in general, I would say, unless here in Spain it's a struggle for everybody almost everybody who is not very big and very well known to survive in the performing art sector. So what do you think which can be the ideas to make this survive and to grow? Why not?
Can I, sorry if I...
Yes, look, please, and then there is Miguel. I also saw his hand up.
Sorry, yeah. Well, I would turn it around. Like, how can theater that is not short and in different spaces and more fun survive? Like, how do we keep it relevant? How do we keep on engaging people if not this way? Like, what the hell is the future of theater in a theater? So I think of course there's a structural issue that the way we fund arts is always way behind the practice of arts, and the way audiences conceive art is 4 steps ahead of politics. But I think if we want arts to keep its relevance in society, like what we do all is way more helping than just go, let's hope they keep coming to the big theaters.
That sounds very interesting. Look, Miguel, please.
Yeah, I think the point, what at least we in Microteatro we are trying to do is to make this horizontal theater from the people to the people. I mean, try to desacralize the theater. I mean, when I was small, the theater was something you have to shoot, you have to go well dressed, you have to have this liturgy that, okay, is cool, but it keeps theater far from people. And now in the 21st century, I think our point with this short format theater, this kind of place in which you work with one idea, as you said before, you can make new audiences, not to be afraid of theater. In fact, for example, in Microteatro, we're one of the preferred destinies for the first dates of Tinder, because these dates go to see a play, a small play, 15 minutes, they have something to talk about, they drink their beers. So it is not something, it's a mix between culture and leisure. And this is, I think, the surviving of theater, of short format theater, it has to be through people, through becoming near to people.
That's great. Thank you very much, Miguel.
Yeah,
please.
To add a bit, we already talked a bit about this social connection, and I think there's also a lot of opportunities maybe in thinking transdisciplinary, so not thinking only from the theater, but only from different art disciplines, but also connecting what we do to other domains. So, for example, connected to healthcare or the government or the social sector. And I think there's a lot of relevance in that, and also it may help us to find other ways of funding also for our projects. So I think this could also help.
Super. Thank you very much. It's a very good idea. Well, this is when we use, well, I'm giving some lessons in a university about cultural policies and so on, and this is when they ask about when they ask us about how to finance nowadays emerging projects in performing arts. That's the idea, is not trying not to go always through cultural fundings, if not try to open a little bit your minds and try to connect what you're doing also with other topics, which is the way of funding more funds and of making it giving it more sense to what you're doing.
Yeah,
not staying.
Especially this concept of short theater is really suitable for it. It's really, for example, to put a short piece of theater in a hospital, it works. It doesn't work to put a 1 hour Hamlet in a hospital. You know? So yeah.
Unlikely, what is very difficult from time to time is to have the permission to enter these kind of spaces. Because for us it's very normal. I mean, we can see theater everywhere. This is our life. But it's very hard to make people understand. I mean, to make, I would say, people not used to culture word. That theater can be everywhere.
A lot of challenges, and you have to speak a lot of languages. I mean, we're still discovering also how to do this as Bureau Mix, but I think it's definitely a world to discover or rediscover, maybe, as art sector.
Super. Thank you very much, Mark. Julia?
Yes, I was thinking about something that I heard in the words of each one, that maybe is the answer to the question, how can short theater survive and grow? That is to say, there is there is a focus, I think, on community, on a moment of community. I think that, yes, there is a very great intimacy between the audience and the performers. It is more informal. It is quicker than a theater inside a theater. But I think that right now, theater inside the theater, also for answering to Luke, has the power of bringing people together in a sense of spending time together. And for example, I feel the difficulty of putting inside our program a play of a 15 minutes play alone, while it is very easy to make it together with other pieces that has the same duration, so that the people can come, as I said, see many different disciplines and spending more time together. And also, if they don't like one of the pieces, they can stay together and discover places. And I think that so maybe the focus is the experience that you can give to an entire community. Maybe it's not only the theatrical product, but also the experience, the human experience you live.
Can I add? Yes. I just want to add something. I agree with Luke and his idea of this cafe theater. I really loved it because I remembered when I graduated, I started to work in bars and coffee bars accidentally. It wasn't an idea, let's do something different, let's be different and creating new forms, but it was accident because we didn't have chance to work in the institutions. So I think that these alternative forms, short forms, should not be accident, but they should be something important, and we should adapt on on different places. And I think that we should go to the audience, not they for them to come to us, but we should go to them.
I love this idea there, really, of we should go to them, mainly now, which is a kind of difficult moment, as you said also, now that audiences, they mainly go to big shows. So I think it's very interesting. Agnese, now I will pass you the floor. Just wanted to add that while Thea was speaking, you bring me, Thea, to the idea of, again, I went to circus and music, which is they have forms which are used for the street. I mean, circus is born, I would say, or down a big tent, or in the street. So, which is nothing. I mean, again, is nothing new. It's something very internal, something very connected with the society that we probably, in some way, left apart, to try to like give this idea from the performing arts of, as Michael said, no, of a liturgic place, of a liturgic space and experience. So again, connection with other disciplines, which is, I think, interesting. Agnese, please.
Yes, we are in the same room, so to avoid feedback, I wanted to say that it immediately sparked a lot the. Oh?
Perché stai usando, devi usare.
The idea of Tinder dates at theater. I think it's such a cool concept that I wonder if you could really also like expand on that idea. If you see that there are a lot of Tinder dates coming, how do you make it even more of a format to use? I think that could be super interesting. And I agree with Thea, going back to the question where we started with, that there is somehow this stereotypical idea that short pieces are of less quality or less important or hierarchically not as cool as if you do 2 hours of Hamlet. And I think that kind of mentality has to change a bit, because I think what can make short theater sustainable and have a future is, on one hand, if we go to the people indeed and try to reach a different and new audience, but at the same time, we also need to go to the structures and to the institutions that are currently there now and prove and show them that just because we are making smaller, shorter, less complicated productions, that doesn't mean that the quality will be less, or that you as an artist are less important or good or cool. And it's coming to me because I had this experience myself. I've produced some more basic shows with Ted Stride, the company that I founded that I'm now managing. And the normal shows, I've probably had something like 5 or 6 dates. Whereas the last show that we created, which was a 20 minutes solo that was also performed at Cafe Teatro Festival, I think we got to something like 40 shows. We reached much more audience. It did force us to go really to the point of what we wanted to talk. So I really think it is a form that also personally, it just makes more sense to also work with, because I see also that there are more results. And people are also more interested in that somehow. Yeah, this is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Miguel, por favor.
But I think our main problem is that we are so romantic with the theater people, in the sense that we love making what we do, but we can never give the back to the audience, give the back to the people or the community, as Giulia said. No, I think we need to know that the first thing is that the most important of theater is communication. And the second thing I wanted to say is that as we are not theater, I think we have to find ways of distribute our things in different ways, as Luke does in his coffees or whatever. But I mean, we are like more guerrilla than an army, and we don't have to expect to be treated as theater because we offer different things than theater. So if we change our minds, it's easiest to find a way of survive and find a way of making our cultural companies sustainable.
Super, Miguel. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, a lot of things are going out right now. Really, I'm very happy about this. Do you mind if we go with, if I introduce you second question I have for you, which is, can shared theater practices support the development and professionalization of emerging artists? This is something that already went out in some moment in different, in many of your presentations. But anyway, it really works. I mean, it works to, as we say, not to give a space for emerging artists in the professional field, or it's just like precarizing a little bit more their introduction in this world. It's a little bit controversial thing, but I would like to hear your opinion about this. Miguel, por favor.
I can start if you want, because nobody wants to speak. So, but we are working now for 13 years in Microteatro in Madrid, and we have the other 14 places. But speaking only in Madrid, we have done in these 13 years like 2,000 plays. We have had like 2,000. Little less, 1,700 actors and like 800 writers and directors. And a lot of people were starting their careers. They were professional and started their careers, and now they are very huge names, and they have developed a career from there. Some of them were already Goya winners or nominated, or I mean, Microteatro, at least our venue, is a place where it's like a, how is the word? Seeder. A place where you place the seeds and you make them grow. And that's what we try with the artists of the places where we have a Microteatro, to find new talent and to help them to develop their talent.
Great. Thank you very much, Miguel.
Yes, I would like to add that I think that's a good way for emerging companies to be in this short theater network. For example, in Píndolas, there are lots of companies that are performing in the festival at the same time and during the tour. So it's beautiful to see how companies know each other and they connect. So it's a good way also to do network for them. And then what you said before is like also beautiful to see their careers now. You see them everywhere because there's a lot of people involved. So here in Catalonia is very small. So so it's very beautiful to see that the network.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much.
Just to finish this,
yes, Miguel.
my part, from the plays that we have had in Microteatro, that's just for finishing this thing. We have had like 5-6 long plays that has started like a short play or Microteatro play. We have had like 100 short films and 2 feature films. And that gives you the idea of how Microteatro can help developing the careers of the talent of the people who started or who can go through our place.
Great. Sorry, I wanted to say one thing, which Goya, before Miguel was speaking about Goya. Goya is like the prize for film the main prize for film productions in Spain. So that's one of the, it's super good that what people can start doing in Microteatro. People who start in Microteatro then have this option.
I had maybe a question or more out of curiosity. You said that you're active with the Microteatro for 15 years. Do you also see makers who go back to that format later in their career as a choice rather than I'm young and I don't have money and this is the only way I can do it?
In fact, there is a lot of people who are very, very well known, like, I don't know if you are not living in Spain, like David Trueba, Chero Mañas, Los Javis, Daniel Sánchez Arevalo. There's a lot of people, directors, actors, who are very well known for TV, for theater, for cinema, and they love to do 1 month in Microteatro just to feel the experience of having the audience near. They say that is like going to the gym. It's like going back to the origins after having these big productions, this 100 crew, and then they have to work like with their hands. So a lot of people, almost every month, we have somebody well known who wants to come back to do something with us.
This is super nice. It's very good because really, really brings back like the big stars and the big star system to the base. But on the other hand, I'm also I'm asking myself if it's just a few of them. I mean, there are just saying it as I need to say it. We have one Microteatro in Barcelona, and what happens that many times I see always the same people doing different shows in Microteatros. So from time to time, I think that if this kind of format really helps, or just helps the few who anyway, I mean, they do whatever they can do. I mean, they will get to this star system, and the rest, I mean, they always stay in here. I mean, they always stays in this form. I don't know if they choose to stay in this form, which is an option, or if just, I don't know, in some way, like a way of being stuck and not to being able to grow. And I'm asking how, I mean, why. Probably not all of them are super good, but why this happens and how we can switch this way of things, of how things happen. I don't know if this sounds to you or not, and for example, to the one of you who have festivals, there are Luke, Mark, and that's what happens with the artists which went to Sturm und Drang or which are going to Café Theater or so on. I mean, they find a way of going?
Yeah, I can say a few things about that, but I think it's well, you can see it as like a big open, like one of the ingredients that I hear a lot is open calls, and this is, I think we also work with an open call, and this is important for us because we want an open platform. We want makers from all kinds of different roots and all kinds of different backgrounds, all kinds of different working methods to be able to use our festival and to grow within it. We also have quite an elaborate support system, so they get artistic coaching and workshop days and all the jazz. But I think this only works. You need this kind of broad base as a theater scene or a theater in or dance or any performing arts in a country, only if you have also a broad spectrum of ways to develop afterwards. So our makers are not, there's not one way they leave our festival, because there's not one field that they work in. We have a lot of hip hop dance, we have a lot of circus, we have a lot of dance, a lot of theater, and they all, like, we kind of follow them in dance afterwards, of course. So we know where they end up, and it's in all these different kind of places, but also in a very I think this is they reinvent the performing arts. So they reshape the field in the coming years. And here I think also we kind of always are ahead of the curve. So for example, when new genres and styles are emancipating themselves, like hip hop dance in the Netherlands at the moment, and circus has been emerging for the last 15 years, that the infrastructure is getting really better. We at these open calls festivals, we really first see that happening, and the field afterwards reacts slowly. So first you have this kind of problem that they don't have a way to develop after the festival, but slowly then the field adjusts, and they see these new possibilities and these new kinds of makers that are coming up via these open platforms.
Super. Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you. Mark, you would like to add something? Just to let us know how it works with your artists?
Yes, you asked the question, what happens with artists after your festival, but we exist for 2-3 years now. We only had one edition of the festival, so I can't really say something about that, but I think maybe that the format of microtheater, and also what we would like to offer, is for artists, whether they're emerging or they're bigger artists already, that maybe they can get away from the expectations from making a big piece, reviewers coming, and they can really experiment and invent something new, because I think there's not a lot of expectations yet for this format of short theater, yeah, this also links a bit to the place we are in the Netherlands. Groningen is in the north of the Netherlands. Nobody from the rest of the country really wants to go there, or is really interested in this part of the country. But we kind of rebranded that into working in splendid isolation. So you're in isolation and you can really focus on what you do, and maybe create something new. So I think maybe this is also a chance for the format.
Super, thank you. Thea, please. Sí.
I don't think I have much to say on this topic. Giulia, your question was what happens with the artists after the festival ends? Shortly, like.
Yeah, if you've seen that they were able to improve their professional career after the festival, just to monitor it.
For example, at this festival that I made 2 years ago, there was a university conference where I gathered 10 professors, acting professors from 10 different countries and universities. And this was a called university conference, where they shared their experience of working with the actors, with the students, how we should work with them, making these new forms in theater, not to be that much classical. So they had a chance to introduce themselves. Also, we had this, and to work together in the future, to have these, to share their experience, to change university professors. Also the students, the acting students, they had this chance of showing this 1 minute acting, where also they introduced themselves. And I think that the most important thing for us is to, if we are not able to travel and to watch performances, we should share these things, maybe talk more about them, and to make spaces to how to say it, to I don't know, to find ways to relate these new performances or performers.
In my opinion, this sounds really interesting because it's the beginning of a network. Really, what you are also saying, no? Because the idea of connecting them, which also Anna, of connecting emerging artists through this form, I think it's really, really interesting, and it's a way of getting to learn one from the other. I mean, and the idea of sharing the experience is really, really is something that can really improve, I think. I see Morgan. How are you, Morgan? Welcome.
Hi, thanks. Sorry.
No worries. You okay?
Yes. Yes, I'm okay.
Do you mind to introduce yourself, passing through those 3 questions that I sent you? I read them again if you want to, so the other can get to know who you are and what you do. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. The idea is if you can explain a little bit about your project, and explaining the connection between short theater and your organization. If you can shortly introduce the situation of short theater in your country, and in your opinion, what are the strengths and weaknesses of short theater and how you can solve them in 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I can introduce myself very quickly because sorry, the switch in French and English is a little difficult. My English is not so good. So my name is Morgan Anderlin. I'm from France, and I'm the artistic director of the festival Equinox. It's a festival in Strasbourg, Festival de Microteatro. And this festival is the only festival in Strasbourg, and in France you just have 3 company or 3 festival proposed the Microteatro. And this festival, it's especially about Microteatro for make the promotion of this format, and it's a very important moment for people in Strasbourg. It's only 3 days, and you can meet different artists who wonder about innovative formats. So it's very cool. So that's my work. And I can say in France, Microteatro it's not popular. It's strange because it's very very close to Spain, but it's not popular in France. And sorry, I'm a little confused. I don't know how I can explain more. What you want I talk about? Microteatro?
That's okay. Just
Okay.
now we know a little bit about you. No, don't worry. And this helps me also to connect to what we were speaking about, because I think that is something which is very interesting, is that your festival, if I'm not wrong, if not, please correct me, is made from a company. I mean, you also own a company.
Yeah.
It's a theater company. It's not a public space, or is not a venue. Is just that you are a company and you're doing this festival from this kind of
Yes.
association, I suppose.
Yes, exactly.
So I think this is very interesting, because we were speaking about the idea of emerging artists, of how microtheater can help can help emerging artists to enter in the professional field of culture. So I don't know. Taking in mind that is a company who you're working for and who's organizing your festival. Do you think that this helps you, or helps the artists who are passing through your festival to grow? We can say in the field of theater.
For the moment, I'm not sure. For the moment, I think artists don't know microtheater. So I think for the moment, it's just funny for the artists in France, because it's different. I'm not sure it's a place for grow up. I'm not sure. I think it's just an experience for the moment, for the curiosity for the artist. I think so, because in France the big institution don't know the microtheater. So I think it's for the artists in Strasbourg especially. I think it's just an opportunity to test something, to propose another format or something like this. Yes.
Super. Thank you very much, Morgan, for bringing us some idea about microtheater in France. And does somebody who wants to add something? Giulia, please.
Yes, I would like to ask, because I think that we agree all that it is very useful for, as a sort of challenge, to discover new languages, new artists, help youngsters, young artists, and to get in touch with young audiences. But I think that there is a theme that is very concrete, and I hate speaking of this, that is to say the economical point of view. How can all this kind of a program of festivals can survive and grow, allowing all the artists to have the right money, and also the people who organizes it, and and also if building a network and creating a big network of this kind of theater, that is a very quick, short theater, can become so clear for politics and the municipalities, that is very important for a city, for a region, for everyone to have this kind of theater, that they can decide to give some money or some support to help this kind of associations, theaters, companies, that I think they are inventing each day a way of surviving, if there can be something that can give more solidity.
As always, financial topics. This is our fight. Yeah, please.
I agree with Giulia, with everything. I like this idea of creating a network because I come from a very, very small country, and here everything is politics. And if you're not in the politics, you don't get this support, financial support. That's why my festival last year didn't survive, because I'm not in the politics. But I made these many connections with different artists from many countries, and I'm still trying to survive with making these new forms, these short forms. As I said, I work in institution, but this is not that much interesting for me. So I just wanted to say that I like this idea of creating a network because I think that it's very important for all of us if we want these short forms to survive and to be to take them seriously, you know, because they're not. For example, in my country, we're not taken that much seriously because the institutions are serious. They're working serious in theater, but we're not. So we have to be more. I don't know how to say it. I think that everyone understood me, Giulia.
It was perfectly clear. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Now I will switch to the idea of network, but first I would like to add a reflection. I was thinking about that. This is also something that comes from what from before, from something I heard in the presentations, that institution is not, in general, institution is not very open to this form, to short theater. And I'm asking if it's just an economic reason. I mean, short theater, if it's thought as micro theater, I mean, with 15 people, 20 people, 30 people, or anyway, this connection and this the thing that the fourth wall disappears, logically makes small audiences who can enjoy this kind of forms. And this logically, small audiences means not a lot of, not earning a lot through tickets. So I'm asking if this closeness from the institution about micro theater is something related with the thing that it's economically not producing a lot of money itself. I mean, with the creation of each short show, it's something relating, I also think, with cultural policies. So it's every country has its point of view on this, but I think this can be one of the problems that institutions is about micro theater, which makes really which really doesn't make a lot of sense if we are thinking about culture as one of the pillars of human life, which is what it is supposed to be. But we know how the world rules. So anyway, just wanted to share with you this. I don't know if somebody wants to add something else, and if not, I have a third question I would like to share with you. Sorry, Miguel, please.
Yeah. First of all, I think politics has nothing against short theater, or not the politics. In fact, they're the servants or the officers, or how do you say, funcionario. The people who works in administration, is that they're just lazy. I mean, there are no rules for people like us. They have the cinema rules, the theater rules, but there are no rules for us. So they have to invent something new, and that's difficult for them. That's something we found when we opened, and we have to start with the people of the main house here in Madrid to define what microteatro or short theater was, just to get a license for opening, because we were nothing that has been invented before. So we have to define with them, and that's a lot of months trying to sit with them, try to get their attention, and it was difficult. On the other hand, I think you are not right, excuse me, Giulia, because of the ticketing. In Microteatro, doing a correct program, you can do a lot of ticketing. In fact, we, before pandemics, we were selling like 80,000 tickets a year or something like that. I mean, you can organize your place and your companies so that you can earn enough money. In fact, one company in Microteatro in Madrid earns more money than in any other private theater in Madrid, except the public one. Okay, but I mean, short theater doesn't mean cheap theater in the sense of a cultural company who wants to live of making this kind of thing. It's just to organize. I mean, it can be done.
Yeah, definitely. And you show, I mean, with your work, we can see that it works. The only thing is that it works, in my opinion, for a venue, but it's much more difficult for a festival, which is something that just happens during 3 days, and it's really, wow, it's not that easy to have a lot of...
It's much more difficult for people from festivals, because they have to put all the work of the year in 1 week or 3 days or whatever. It's much difficult for them, of course.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I go with my third question, which is, how can an international network of organizations support the future and fight against the precariousness of short theater practices? Which is this is a little bit what we really would like to try to think about in future. So that's also why we invited you all here to speak about it, to think and to have reflections, to make reflections around short theater and short forms, but also to try to share with you this idea of a possible future network, to try to construct things together. So how do you see the idea of network in microtheater, taking in mind which microtheater is not a really well-known form, which is something that it came out many times during our talk? Silence. No, I mean, probably is a little bit a rhetorical question. I can say it, but I mean, have you ever thought in getting in connect with other European, because in here we are European association or organization, in order to try to find some support, some economical, but also some creative support for your events, your festival, your venue, and so on?
Well, so I actually think this is hard. So for us, we do get, with our open call, we also get yearly new international makers that apply, and it's always tough to think about, like, what can you offer someone that's coming from Spain, that's gonna perform in the Netherlands, and that does not per se settle after in the Netherlands. And there's this kind of, and I think this also, I'm afraid, has a lot to do with politics. We're being asked a lot to be also local, and to be there for local artists, for the local communities of artists. And this kind of clashes with the practice that a lot of artists work internationally, especially in circus, dance, and these kind of different, like, as an organization, as a lot of, at least in the Netherlands, a lot of Dutch organizations are funded on a national level, but also on a local level. And this local level is a big part of the finances. The municipalities really ask us to put into focus makers that want to become local in the city that we are. And this kind of clashes with the practice of these makers. And so also kind of what I think the international support system right now is really hard to organize, I think, because there's no funding basis for it, unless you go to European subsidies, but that's how do you call it? A hellhole that I did not go into yet. But so, like, the where you're being pulled by policy, by funding, is really a different direction than more global or international collaboration, I think.
Yeah, totally agree with you. It's not easy at all. And European fundings are kind of, let's say, big topic, but it's possible. Mm-hmm.
But maybe to add on it, because I totally understand what Luc is saying, but already I'm noticing, because I didn't really know the concept of micro theater or short theater, and it might be nice to exchange experiences and learn from each other, and maybe that also helps to give visibility to the concept in different places a bit, because I think in the Netherlands, we, as I said, we don't really know the concept yet. So I think by exchanging a bit in a network, that could really help in that, giving more visibility.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Mark. Is the first step always is to get to know each other. Agnese, you want to add something?
And if I can add to that, I'm very happy to now, for example, meet Miguel, because myself, I thought I came up with something probably very similar to microtheater that I called back in the days fast food performances. So this idea of indeed very quick, accessible, fruable for the people. But I think back in the days, if I knew that this format had a name and had already rooted somewhere, I think it would have been probably much easier to also explain it to others and to get money for it. So I do agree with Mark that, yeah, the first thing is really to talk about it and to know that there is also a history of this form. And now I know also where to find the maker of it also. I'm very happy about that.
Great.
I think, of course, we have different ways of focusing short theater in festivals, in venues. But I think it can be interesting to have this at least info network in which we can exchange experiences, we can exchange what we do, what we want to do, and we can learn one from the others. I think this can be the first step for doing this small thing, not thinking in funding, because I think we are different. We have different interests because one is a venue, another is a festival, everyone has its own personality, which is great. But I think that it could be great to start building this European or worldwide network in which we can learn one from the others. Not only about microtheater, but short theater. I mean, it's not only about this.
Yes, and for sure, I mean, we miss a lot of people here. I mean, I'm sure that in Europe, there are more associations, well, in general, more organizations who work with microtheater. So this can be logically open. Well, it's an idea, it's nothing more than this. So, but you think this can help a little bit in the future or not? I mean, is that, as Luke said, I mean, we are, with this form, we are so connected with the local financiation that it really makes it too difficult. Because probably one idea can be, I'm thinking now, the connection with bigger theater. I mean, for spaces and for residencies, try to connect with bigger theaters. I mean, public theaters. I don't know. Well, hi, Miguel. I see you have to leave. Thank you very much for being with us. It has been a big pleasure to have you here, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you all, and please, we keep in touch. Bye.
Sure.
Thank you.
For sure. Bye bye. Sí, Agnese.
I just came up with a very practical suggestion idea for in the future that could be very nice, maybe to also understand more what each reality is and what the connections are, to just visit each other's event and meet at, for example, next year we all come to Barcelona for Pindoles, or we come here to Ferrara for Bonsai, that we really, I don't know, maybe create 1 or 2 days of a program to meet each other, experience each other's activity, and then from there see, okay, this I can connect, this doesn't make sense. That could be maybe an idea.
Thank you, Agnese. I think it's a very, very good idea. If I just can add a negative point to this, is that it's not that easy. Because we're always full of things to do. I mean, the most of us, well, all of us, everybody who works in culture is never stopping. I think it's.
I'm thinking now maybe a good and a practical idea would be to have, I don't know, a digital perform, ¿cómo se dice? Like a digital website where we all can put our projects there, and maybe, I don't know, experiences or doubts about the short theater, or I don't know, the structure of different types of organizations and festivals. I don't know. Maybe I think to be there, even though it's a digital way, it should help to connect to all places. I don't know. Maybe it's an idea.
I think this is This is a very good idea. I mean, I love Agnese one because in my life, I think this is the best way to get to know each other. But on the other way, Anna's one is, I think, is very good option to make things easier, and probably we can try to connect again and to speak from time to time, just to meet and to keep on in contact. I don't know. I don't know if anybody. I mean, if somebody here has some question, wants to add something. If not, I have some notes here. I don't know if Agnese also has some notes wants to share, or if I can just share mine, and we can go and slowly close this very nice meeting. Does somebody want to add something about all what we have spoken about today? Yeah, please.
I wanted to say again that I said at the beginning that we should, at first, I don't think that we should think on financial thing and finding money to do something, but we have to be very precisely at what is really important now as an idea for making short forms. And maybe we can find each other's here because we are gathered here to talk about these short forms, and maybe we can just meet each other. This idea of Anna's was great, to share these forms digitally, and maybe to create, I don't know my ideas now, so to create just one festival that would be called, I don't know, festival meetings, where we can meet each other somewhere. But at first we should have an idea what we would like to say with this gathering together and making something.
I totally agree with you, Tada. The first thing is to find the points that connects ourselves and decide what are these short forms for us as a unique, not as not in every reality, if not as just all as one. Somebody else wants to add something? So, Agnese, do you want to sum up a little bit, or you want me to go through my?
You can go.
Here? Okay, super. So, what I wanted to share to you, but I was taking a lot of notes while you were speaking, and just trying to close a little bit all of what we were speaking. I would like to close this panel session with positive thoughts, mainly taking them. And what I marked in what I've written here are some opportunities, which I think that we can be something we can reflect on as a whole. I mean, if we decide in future to keep on in connection and so on, but also as every one of us as a cultural manager, or as an artist, or as part of this world, which is the short theater. The opportunity I hear is related mainly with some ideas that went out. And the first one is the idea of creating community through short theater, because I think that create something which is necessary for the community, for the society, really helps the projects to evolve and to grow. So that's why what Mark said of this necessity of connection, of what they are doing also, for what I understand of connecting with community, is something really, really important. Thinking about community, in my head, I was going again to the youngsters, because it's something that we work a lot with. Well, it's an audience that we work a lot with Píndolas. So probably this is two things. These are two topics that can get together. The idea of create community with youngsters, also thanks to them, to the, as we say, to the characteristics of short theater itself. Another opportunity that I hear is the idea of using microtheater as a space of, as we say, no, so create connection with the community, with the audiences. So this is come outside, but inside create connection among emerging artists, among artists in general, and among different disciplines. I think this is really, really interesting for artists themselves, because it also helps in some way, probably not to fly directly to the professional sector, but anyway, to get more connection, to get closer to the idea of being professionist in the sector. Another opportunity that I found is something that was so negative, but I think that can be positive, which is the idea of the mixing connection again with the next step for production. I mean, what the artists present in a festival, not always as have a space to grow in a different place. This is something that Luke was saying before. So probably what we can try to put a lot of effort in, or put some effort in, is to try to reinforce this connection with different, as I say, different venues, different associations, different organizations, different public spaces and public venues, to try probably to give these emerging artists some space to allow them to grow, to develop their work. Another opportunity is, the thing is that, again, that comes from a bad point, is that there are no circuits for touring for short theater in most of our countries. I mean, Spain is a little bit different from the rest of your countries, because in here we have a lot of spaces to work with microtheater or short forms. But I've heard from you that many countries, they have no circuits. I mean, network of places to tour the short theater forms. So this is something which is hard, but it's something that it's an opportunity to create something new around, a new project around this concept of microtheater. And the last opportunity I am here written is the idea of creating a digital space, and a space for getting to know us, but also, I mean, each other, getting to know each other among us, but also to open this to other organizations who works with microtheater, with short forms and so on, and try to, starting from here, try to find what can join us together, and try to construct and build from this point something new. It's just a few things. We spoke about a lot of different ideas and topics, but this is something I really felt I wanted to share with you, these ideas that are, I think, interesting, and we can work on them. I don't know if anybody else wants to add something, who really thinks that it's important to underline. And if not, I thank you very much for being here. But somebody wants to add something?
Maybe if we all agree, we can share all our emails with each other to get in touch, all of us.
If okay, just so I take this, Giulio, as a link to close, because what we will do is Agnese will do a sum up of what we've said here, so como a resume, and we will send you this as soon as we have it. And if you want to, in the same mail, I can share all your mails so we can keep on in contact. And I think it's a good way just to try to keep this alive. And we will think about the idea. Let's see if we can manage. I will also speak about it with Giulio and Agnese. If we can manage to try to construct this digital space for us in some way. We will speak about it and we will tell you if we are able to find time to do it. But I think this can be something really, really interesting and a way just to keep on in connection, which is, I think, one of the words I say the most on this today. But this is how things are. That we need connection to keep on surviving. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We can share anything else through mails and this digital space. I hope we will be able to open soon. And really, thank you. It has been a huge pleasure to be here with you and to share all your ideas. Take care and hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.